Good morning, Susanna here, Good Property Company, cup of tea. I am about to go into the office. We're doing the first of our workshops this year, and I love them, so I'm really excited to go. I'm also really excited to go because we've got the most amazing cake. So it's definitely 60-40, 60% excited about the workshop and 40% the cake's ridiculous, and I can't wait for everyone to see it. So if you want to come to some of our other workshops, we already do 6 this year, and this is the first one. Have a look on our website. The next one is buy to sell. Then we've got serviced accommodation, raising private finance, and the like. This one's deal sourcing. So let's talk about deals. I'm kind of celebrating with my usual cup of tea. I got in a revaluation yesterday. This is a property I bought only 4 years ago. I bought it for 120 at the time. It was a repossession. It was actually worth done up 180 at the time, but my purchase price was 120. I spent £18,000 turning it into a 4-bed renter. So it's not like a fantastic renter, it's a 4-bed renter. It makes me, and I've written down the figures so I get them precisely right for you, it makes me £457.26 a month. Now, I've only got 5 properties that don't make me over £1,000 a month net. My rule is I don't do a property unless it makes me £1,000 a month. So anything going forward I would never buy. And I really had to look at these 5 properties. I actually used to have 6, but I sold one, and say, well, what's the rationale for keeping them, or should we be selling and putting money back in? Now here's the rationale for keeping this bad boy. I bought it for 124 years ago. On Friday I got word that it revalued up at 270. So, bought for 120, 4 years later 270. That's 150 grand uplift. If you take off the 18 grand renovation, that's 132 grand uplift. If you're following me, you might need to write this down. If you add in the £4,500 a month it makes me, over the 4 years it's made me 21 grand. So equity and profit in 4 years is, and I'm looking at my piece of paper to make sure I get the precise numbers for you, 153,948 in 4 years. That's mental. I mean, you know, not that long ago, I was head of household. I didn't do kind of debt, so apart from obviously mortgage debt. So, you know, the month and my money came to a very sticky end at the end of each month, and it was definitely staying in time for the last week and definitely watching the pennies, and off we go again. And I'd be lucky if I could afford a holiday. This is just one property, and this is because it was sourced extremely well. So that is, and again, I'm looking at my paper, £38,487 equity and cash profit per year over the last 4 years. Do you see why you should be doing property? This is one of my properties, and I've got loads of them. So, what's the lesson here? Buy well. Really, really, really work crazy hard. Do your numbers. Sourcing is a numbers game. We're going to be talking about that all day today, because the workshop today is about deal sourcing, about being able to buy discounted, buy well. Solve problems. This was a problem property. It was owned by a guy who'd gone into receivership, so I was buying it from the receivers. He was already made bankrupt, and it was rented out to actually a not good company, in my opinion. I was very upset with them, who were housing refugees. Now, I personally, just my own personal politics, think that somebody that comes a long distance from very trying circumstances to make a new life for themselves is a pretty astonishing person, broadly speaking. I mean, I know I'm talking generally, but I got huge respect for that. However, the company that was looking after them was appalling. In fact, Theresa May had asked questions in Parliament about them, and their practices were terrible. So I was buying it from a company that had a longer-term contract to house refugees, and no mortgage company would give me funding. So I had to go find the cash. So I worked like a stink bomb to go raise 120 grand cash and 18 grand renovation. I bought it with cash. So you can do that. If I could do it, you could do it. And then simply and very unfortunately, because I actually really liked the concept of it, because I couldn't get a mortgage to be able to house the vulnerable group as they're classed. Unfortunately, we had to give notice, not unfortunately to the company that was managing them, because they managed it incredibly badly. There are actually 57 electrical faults, and there was a Smiley family with 3 young kids. I was more than freaked out by their incompetence to manage that property. I was extremely distraught about it actually. But it was a real shame for the family living there because that gave them some stability, and I know they got housed elsewhere. In fact, I put some people in touch so they could get housed. So it wasn't easy. You know, this was a property that could be bought discounted because of the circumstances. A, it was a repossession. B, it was completely unmortgageable because they had a long-term lease. And I think they were in there for a further 3 months. So we just housed them, we kept them. The contract was with the company, I think it was a company called Clear Springs. And we had to buy it and just sort of keep chugging along until we could give them formal notice to leave. Oh yeah, and then they just didn't leave. They just didn't leave. They were so badly managed that they didn't leave. So I ended up writing all the way up to their chief exec and da-da-da. Anyway, basically, it was a palaver and a hassle, and I would never ever deal with that company, Clear Springs. But there were additional problems because the poor guys that were being housed, they hadn't even told them they were leaving. So what I mean is, number one, source well. Number two, solve the problems that any well-sourced property brings, because the reason you're buying it inexpensively is it's probably going to bring some problems. So raise the money and then serve the notice, and then when they just don't leave, because I don't think they even realised they'd been served notice, they were so badly managed, raise it higher and higher, higher. In the end, I went on LinkedIn and just contacted all of the chief exec, you know, main board directors, and do you know what? They left within 48 hours at that point. And then go in and solve all the problems, renovate it and rent it out. So, I don't mean nothing's easy like, oh man, it's, you know, my Scottish roots coming out, oh, it's also hard. But you can solve problems every single time. There is always a solution, and then you come round to the kind of figures that I've just discussed, which we're going to be discussing today. Bought for 120, 18 grand refurb, 4 years later, revalued at 270, literally yesterday, Rick's valuation. Plus 4,500, so 400, I'm going to say the words. I've only had one cup of tea. £457 and 26 pence net profit per month. And by net profit, just by the way, we actually look at income. Because I'm doing this as a shared house, we do £75 per person for bills, and I always set aside 10% repairs. So I don't even assume that the repairs are part of the profit. That is just automatically set aside. So I've made, with equity and profit, cash profit, £153,948 in 4 years. That's why you should do property, isn't it? Good luck. I'm going to have a fantastic time at the workshop today. I hope you guys just crack on. Nothing was easy in the early days. I'm kind of gliding down the mountain now, and it's just the most gorgeous place to be. But I'd love it if you guys got there too and you know, beat me. Go for it. Bye.